My name's Laura Malec. I've been licensed for 9 years in the state of Maryland. And one thing is I'm really passionate about modern marketing that gets results, which we all want results, right? So I'm also lucky to be one of the leaders in our Grow community that we are building with its mission of stress less, more success. And really, we have built and are continuing to build a community where we can share, where we can keep each other accountable, community building, action takers, and just a really great environment of like what is working. So we're trying to make it a formal, more of like a Facebook group. So I'll add the group here at the end. But if you're not in that group already, come on over. We want to bring the community there where everybody has an opportunity to share kind of like what's working in their business. So today, what you can kind of expect from this workshop is going to be the mindset and why the newsletter, like why should you do a newsletter if you're not, and how it's going to work in your business. I'm going to go through an easy template. That's what you're going to walk away with, an awesome template that's going to double as your social media if you would like. And it's really easy to plug and play. As we're business owners, a lot of times we can get stuck in the how or the content, and this template is going to make it so easy for you. And then I mentioned before with a few of them are here, if possible, we're kind of ending, this is the first kind of workshop that we've thrown together. But for those of you that are in a good position towards the end, we want to workshop it. We want to mastermind it a little bit. We want you to work on your outline for your newsletter and start working on it. So we're excited for you to dive in. And if you're, driving or not in a position, you can still think of ideas and mastermind accordingly. Or if we're going into too much work mode, you can take your outline and finish it another time. So I am curious. I want to see who's in the room. So if you have your keyboards available, you can press a Y for yes. I'm curious who currently has a newsletter going out to their database. So if you could either give me a thumbs up or a yes in the chat box, or raise your hand if you're doing a newsletter. And if it's nobody, then we're really in the right room. So no one's doing a newsletter. Okay. And so who wants to write a newsletter but struggles with like what to write or how to find the time? I saw Lisa. Anyone else? I assume you want to write the newsletters, but do I have buy-in from everybody that wants to write a newsletter? Anybody else? Okay, Lisa, you're the only one. Okay, there we go. Got a thumbs up. All right. Awesome. So today's session is I do not have a like PowerPoint with like simple kind of like the content where you can take a picture. So you do want to have your notes out or your computer, wherever you take notes. So if I go too fast and you need anything, let me know. But Tanya and I were like, let's just get this up and running because I was seeing a lot of success from this newsletter, especially since it doubles as my social media. And we just wanted to share it right away. So if you need anything repeated, let me know. Otherwise, do take a few notes. So I wanted to start with the mindset and why the newsletter. And I always like to remind agents of two things, that we have prospecting in our business and we have marketing in our business. And I always want to remind you that you have to look at your pipeline and see how many buyers and sellers you have, how business looks, and where do you need to be spending most of your time. Do you need more in your pipeline? You cannot forget the prospecting part. And prospecting is the method of lead generation that works for you, whether it's phone calls, open houses, the door knocking, the networking, but basically you're engaging in real estate conversations because you're looking for those eager buyers and sellers. You can't forget that part. Now, how marketing comes in is you're starting to get all these database leads, but as we know, as you're meeting people, or even if you meet buyers at an open house, they may not be ready just like to get started just yet, and you need a way to stay in touch with them and continue marketing. That's where the newsletter comes in. The newsletter is going to nurture your database. It's going to nurture your sphere. It's going to nurture your leads so that you're top of mind, that when they are ready to buy or sell, they're thinking of you. So it's not a direct, if I put this newsletter out, I'm going to get a buyer or seller. It's if I do this newsletter, I'm going to stay in contact with a lot of people that my database is just building and growing, and you're planting those seeds and then you're watching them become flowers. So I always just like to say that because if you're anything like me, I really do like the marketing piece. However, it's not now business. So always make sure that you're prospecting, but then make sure that you're finding ways to keep them engaged. So I wrote notes that I don't. Okay, so why? So why do we want to do the newsletter? So the reason why you want to do the newsletter is because you have control of getting into their inbox much easier than you have control over algorithm. So social media is really great, as we all know, and it's a great way to stay top of mind. But in reality, you do not know how many people are seeing your posts. Whether they want to see it or not, they just might not be on that day. The algorithm may not show them that day. It's very important to keep that piece up. But when I have their email, I can directly get in there, and we all know everybody checks their email. I check my junk, I check my regular, everybody checks their email. So even if they choose not to open up the newsletter fully, they are seeing your name and you are staying top of mind. So that's why it's a game changer for your business, is you just have a little bit more of control. And then of course I said it nurtures them so that when they are ready to buy or sell, you have stayed top of mind whenever that time has come, because you have provided content for them that kept them engaged and, like, you know, a reminder of who you are. And then the last piece is that it really creates that touch for you to kind of like check in. I struggled for a really long time when I had leads. I was like, what do I say to like check in? You know, like, hey, how's it going? Just wanted to follow up. Like, what do I say? So this is a great way for you to touch base, because you are going to show credibility that you're in real estate, but more importantly, you're actually going to provide value. You're going to provide kind of some community things, and then remind them that you're in real estate. So we want people to read these newsletters so that they're getting something out of it for them. Like if you read a newsletter, you read it because it's fun, it's engaging, and somehow it's providing value to you. So that's what you need to be writing to your database. The other pro tip about this is this takes care of a lot of your kind of touch campaign. For email marketing, my goal is to send out 24 emails. So 12 of those are my newsletter, which I now do monthly. I started out every other month, and I want to remind you, just get started. Do one a quarter, do one every other month, or with this easy template, maybe you're ready to go every month, but just get started. And then my other touch, email touch, is some kind of email within my CRM or outside where I'm updating them on the value of their home. So I do use a system called HomeBot. It's a great tool that you can reach out to me if you have questions about that, or just go into your CRM and see what you can send to your database. But that's 24 emails a month. That is great touch. So that's my pro tip for email. So I'm going to dive into
Can I ask a question?
Yes, of course.
A lot of people have questions about HomeBot, and in the future, because we are doing workshops, you guys, next week, this is our first workshop. Next week's a workshop. It's called Get Stuff Done. Would you be open to doing a HomeBot workshop?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I actually had another agent reach out and she was like, I don't understand how you're doing this and getting database ads. And I'm like, it's really easy. So yes, put me down. I would love that. We'll come back.
If you guys are interested in a HomeBot workshop, put in the chat if you're interested in that.
I see one. We got one person will come. Dee Dee will come. All right, so let's dive into the template. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to tell you what the 4 buckets were, and then I'm going to go into them and why they were important, and I'm going to show you a visual of how it works. All right. So the 4 buckets is I would encourage you to do a personal story. And the reason why you want to do a personal story is this is the engaging piece. And we'll dive into that. The second part is I do happenings in your local area. So I chose what was happening events in Frederick County. Then my third bucket was a hidden gem that I wanted to try. And then my 4th bucket was the market update, which gives credibility. So those are the 4 buckets: personal story, local happenings, a hidden gem, and a market update. So now I want to dive into them. So why do you want to do a personal story? This is actually how I started my newsletter, is I just told a story. I'm also a firm believer of starting where you are. So for me, I heard about this template and I was really like, I don't know, that's a lot. That seemed really intimidating to me. And so I just chose to start with a personal story. And that's where I would encourage you to start as well. And then of course you can add on the other buckets. But this helps show like your human side of you. This helps you connect with your database, because they don't want to just know if you sold a house or helped a buyer. They want to know what's going on in your life. Like, think about who you follow and what you like to watch. We're nosy. We like to know what's going on. We like to know that we're relatable. It just helps. And so this like humanizes you, but then it also makes you memorable, because people remember things through stories. And then sometimes it can even like create like encouragement, engagement, because then people are like, oh, I resonate with that story. They may reply back, they may not, but like it does, it creates encouragement for like engagement. But here's the key is that it sets you apart from your competitors because let's just be honest, most newsletters are boring, especially if they're templated for you. And if you, I think I asked earlier who was already sending newsletter. And if you're sending a newsletter that's through your CRM that is templated, I still want to say kudos to you because you're doing more than what others are. But I will encourage you to try more, making this more personable because it's very easy to do within your CRM to really stand out. So I don't want to discourage what you're getting done. I just want to say, if you're already sending those out, let's see if we can improve them. So how I started with my newsletters is I did actually share a story because it was like, well, what am I going to say is usually what people say. Like, what story am I going to tell? And so I actually started with real estate stories. So you can think of anything that you have done, like when you've started. You could talk about your first set of clients. I chose to talk about like how a hot cocoa bar sold the house after 3 weeks being on the market. That was a story. I talked about how I saved my buyer $18,000. That was a story. I talked about how don't let your backyard go to waste. And that was just showing that like people love backyards. Here's what you can do to add value. Here's how you can enjoy your backyard. So if you're kind of like, where would I start with a personal story? Start with something that's in real estate, but then tell more details about, what you did in that process. So now I'm going to share my screen if I have, oh yes, I can, to give you a visual of the first part of my newsletter. So I will warn you, I do choose to use a different platform. So here's what you can do is you can start with what you have in your CRM. If you're able to adjust your newsletter, these are the key things that you need to make an awesome newsletter. You need to be able to add photos or images. You need to create white space, which means just spacing out the wording so it's very easy to read. And then you just need to be able to change colors of font or make it bigger or smaller. That is the key to a really great newsletter. So you can start with your CRM to keep it really easy and see how you can format it to get that going. I do choose to use another platform. It's called Flowdesk. I love it because it's very, very easy to make, and there's different reasons. So if you want to know why I use Flowdesk, please reach out to me. I'm an open book, but that's not today's class. So anyway, so you can see here, I fall into Frederick County and I'm doing the Malec group, my September edition, making it all formal. But already you're reminded that I'm in real estate because I have my logo there. I have a picture of mums, and I actually did that on purpose. Nobody knows, but I have mum Popeyes going out this month. So I was like, oh, that makes sense to have a mum picture like for the beginning, and then some Popeyes are going out. So here is my story. And my story actually was really personal this time. It was don't forget to date your kids. And we took my youngest out on a date. This last year, we just really got into that hustle and bustle of activities and not like slowing down just to enjoy time. And my husband and I just really forgot what it was like to spend time with just one child versus like two of them. And so I just created a little bit of a story of why we did it. I showcased the restaurant that we went to. See how I'm adding value and engagement. I showed a picture of myself and my family because that makes me personable. And then I also had like a little bit of a reason behind it. So I was like, don't take this month, take this month slow and enjoy life. Don't forget to make time. And then I created it for everybody, for a friend, for your spouse, for yourself, for your kids. I did kind of want to, make it a little bit more general. And so it was just a story that I just was passionate about, and I thought I wanted to share that. So again, you can start with being real estate related, but then I promise you, you have so many stories to share. And in the second part of this, I give you lots of key questions so that you can find it. And once you kind of get started, you're going to find the stories, right? I forget whatever the law is called, but if you say like red car and then you go out today, you're now going to see a red car, whatever that's called.
It's their activator.
Thank you. It's the same thing. Like your first story is going to be tough. You may sit there with a blank piece of paper. Just ask yourself questions and it's going to get easier and easier. I started with real estate. I gave you all those examples. And then now I was like, this is a really fun story to share. So I shared that. So you can see here, I did, like little paragraphs. I left some space. And realistically, if you're the consumer, you may or may not read it. You see my headline, okay, don't forget to date your kids. Oh, she went to Yard House. All right, what else? Because is everybody going to read it? No, but some will, but they could at least like get the key points out of what's going to give them some value. So now, so that is it for the personal story. Any major questions right now on the personal story?
I do have a question on with Flowdesk. Can you use Flowdesk and then import it into your CRMs, like kind of to look like this?
No.
Okay.
But you can just do like, it's just mainly like the headings, a picture, and white space is all that like Flowdesk is doing.
Okay.
Yep. Any other questions? Personal story. Okay. Easy. Does that sound like doable? Do I say shake?
That sounds doable. My question, piggybacking with Tanya, is how do you get the newsletters out? Do you directly just use from your email to your email list?
Yeah, so that's where like it's kind of double the work. So if you can do it in your CRM, like do it that way first because you can choose. But I like Flowdesk because I use it as a lead magnet as well. So if we want to workshop on Flowdesk, I can do that too, Tanya. Where I have segments and I have to get everyone's emails in there. So I don't send emails from my CRM, but I send emails from my Flowdesk, and then I have like who's local to Walkersville, newsletter, what are my sellers getting, what are my buyers getting, and I can rehost it, but that's in like how I do email marketing to make sure people are getting the information they need. So as a seller, I might let them know what's going on in the market, but I don't need to let my whole database know what's going on. So you can do that same thing in your CRM when you have them basically tagged into groups is all that you're looking for with email marketing.
Thank you, Laura. Thank you so much.
Yeah, absolutely. So, again, we'll dive into it, but like, what can you write about is you can be real estate specific. That's fine, but just share one story, and it does not have to be new. You can talk about something that happened last year, the year before, your first time. Like, people just like story. You can say why you got into real estate. Like, you have stories within you. You could maybe talk about like a personal challenge or a win. That's super vulnerable and really relatable. I like talked about the other day, like how taking the trash out was no longer hard on me. Like it used to be really hard with having little kids and a husband that works a 24-hour shift schedule. And I'd be like, oh my gosh, I have to get all the trash and take it out. And now it's really easy. And I just shared like, hey, this is a challenge, like just shows that life seasons are busy. Like just think of what's going on in your life, and just people want to know. I promise you they want to know your story. And then you can also talk if you're like getting into the community involvement, you can share a story there. Like if you volunteer or what your church is doing or what your local network's doing, like y'all have a story within you. I know you do. So that's that piece. And you can just start out that way, or you can start adding these on. So my next one was mark your calendar. That's the second bucket. And this is local happenings that are happening in your area for the month of September. I held back on doing this one because I was like, oh, like, how am I going to find all these events? How am I going to find all these dates? This seems really boring to me. And I really held off. Well, you don't have to do that. You just need to be resourceful. And so what I actually did was I went over to ChatGPT, and let's see, I think I wrote it down. I typed in, this is literally what I typed in. I'm writing a fun newsletter from my database. I'm a local Frederick County agent. I love giving back to the community, creating community, putting smiles on people's faces. I want this newsletter to bring value, and I'm looking to provide local information regarding Frederick County. What are some local things I can highlight? Give me a few options in each of these categories. Something for kids, something new in town, maybe a self-care hidden gem, something to do outdoors, what's happening this month that residents shouldn't miss. And I'll copy and paste that. Now, ChatGPT is 2 years old, so you have to double check the dates and like if that thing is actually real. It wasn't 100% accurate, but guys, it got the ball rolling. And then choose one event, or I wouldn't really do more than 4. You do not have to do everything happening. And you can do what interests you. That's what makes you credible. That's what makes you like be seen, is when you're being yourself. So I chose the top 4 things that I'm most likely going to do. Like I made it about me, but that doesn't matter, because what it does when they see that, it shows that you have local expertise. It shows that you're adding value. It can, again, create engagement. It keeps your content fresh and interesting. Like, I am pretty resourceful, but it's amazing how people really don't know what's going on. And so then when you tell them about it, like, they're really happy that you told them that. So don't get in your head that you think everybody knows this. They need to be reminded. They forgot that it was September and that was happening. And they're thankful that you put it down. It can show like your community involvement. And then it starts to position you as a go-to resource. So I ended up picking 4 events that just resonated with me. And I'm going to show you how that looks. All right, so again, we're taking you through my newsletter. You see a picture, you saw a story. Maybe you wanted to skip my story. What's Laura sending me? Mark my calendar. Oh, okay. You can easily scan over this. I have mark your calendar, September must do. I have the 4 events, which if you can link them, that is great. All these are linked so they can get more information. I double checked the dates and then found some pictures online is a bonus. But do you see how if you're even, don't want to make you sick, but even if you're scrolling through and you're not reading like whoever, I mean, that makes you stop, right? So, I mean, it's huge. I did the Great Frederick Fair because I know we're going to go. I did In the Streets because my daughter's doing a competition in it. I did Oktoberfest because I may or may not go, but it was interesting to me. And I haven't been to a farmer's market all summer because it's been so freaking hot that I reminded myself I wanted to go. Do you know how many farmers markets are out there? A lot. I did one. And do you know what? People engaged and gave me more feedback on where I should go. So there's that for you. So this is why the like must do events is really important. And again, it can just be one. I personally wouldn't do more than 4 because we know people are not going to take all that in. Is there a gazillion other things to do this month? Absolutely. But here's what I showcased for them. Questions on mark your calendar, local events and happenings. Thumbs up. All right. So then you can add this one, and this one again brings it back to you, but people want to know what you're doing. I'm just telling you, they want to know. Is on my list to try. So if you are like being local and you want to try new things, this is what you can add. Like, what's something that you're looking to do this month? It doesn't matter if it's a restaurant that's 2 years old and you've never been. Maybe it is like the newest, hottest, latest restaurant. Or maybe you've been wanting to try a new sport, or like Frederick County just got a pickleball court. Like, it can be hot and spicy and new. It can be old. It just matters. Like, it's personal about you is what people are interested in. So this month I did a restaurant that's like, there's my dog. That's new-ish. But a lot of people have already been to. Sorry. Okay. No one wants to hear a squeaking. And it's called a restaurant called Bentstown. And it's just there. Like, some people know about it, some people don't. And it's just on my list to try this month. And it just kind of reminds other people too. Like, they either went, like, oh yeah, I went, it was great in their head, or, oh, I should try that too. It was just something that kind of set me apart. And again, when this all comes together, this helps with social media content, which you'll see it tied together. And that's really fun too. So let me share the screen on the hot little take. So we had my little blog. Now we had, oh, this is, mark my calendar. And then it was just quickly on my list to try with the visual of the picture. And I just wrote a little thing why I've been eyeing it. I wrote exactly why I wanted to go. Like, it's been trending. It looks like it has a good atmosphere. It's different. People are talking about it. And I'm marking my calendar to go. So I added visuals because it just helps, again, to keep people interested, that if they don't read this, they still know on my list to try is Bentstown, and I still added value. Now, the last piece is you still want them to remember that you're in real estate. So hopefully you had some kind of nice logo at top, I would encourage. If not, in your signature, have it. But you can also do a market update. Now, you don't want to make your market update boring, and you don't want to give too much information. So what I typically do is with my MLS, we have what's called smart charts, and that gives us a lot of statistics to look at. Now, if you don't have that, I have my local board that I'm a part of, and they also share monthly stats. Does everybody feel like they have some kind of source that shares stats, or they know where to go? Okay, perfect. And so the key there is to tell the story behind the stats. So you most likely have, if if prices are going up or down, the values. You have days on market is a stat. You have interest rates. That's not on the stat thing, but you know about the interest rates. Inventory, if it's increasing or not increasing. So you just want to pick one, that's what I would encourage. You don't want to give the facts of all of them because they don't know what that information needs and they don't necessarily want that. And so you can just share one statistic and then tell the story behind it. So I'll just show you what mine was. So I said, have you seen what's going on in the market lately? Great news for buyers. My stat was that there's 30% more inventory year over year. Now that's boring just to say it. And what does that mean? So I wrote more homes are available this year, right? Because that's the more inventory. My stat was 30% more than last. This offers buyers a larger selection and reduces the frustration of limited inventory. And then I did a call action. Are you interested in making a move? Reach out. There's more inventory. So I still look like a great real estate expert and I still have my credibility. I created curiosity, but I kept it simple. And those other facts that you have, you can still trickle them into social media for the whole month. But again, you don't want too much information. If people are in here, you want them to grab what they want. I just wanted them to remind them that I was an expert in real estate. So I chose to share the story behind it. Days on market, if it's increasing, why would they care about that? I would show my credibility of here's how I get my sellers to sell quickly versus sitting on the market as we see the days on market creeping up, right? And you can go to Chat GPT and have it help you get started, still make it about you, but you can say here's the stat. How can I help show that this is a good thing for buyers or for sellers? And it'll start giving you ideas so that you can be creative. If you're seeing anything that I'm writing, you're like, I can't do that. Yes, you can. I either had help, I use Chat GPT, or it's just the muscle that you're working on. And that's why we're here too, right? We can workshop this together. If you have a stat and you don't know how to write it as a story, well, let's get through that today so you have, your newsletter to write. So those are the 4 buckets. Personal story, your what's happening in your Frederick County. And also if you serve more than one county, then you can do your state. And again, just pick one thing or pick a few, it's totally fine. There's how many pumpkin patches do you guys have? There's probably 20 gazillion, and I'm going to write my favorite one because people probably want to know what's my favorite and they're probably going to share what's theirs. Okay. Questions on that? Does that sound doable? Is there any hesitations or concerns? Okay. So before we jump into the workshop part and masterminding and questions that we can ask, I want to show you how this all doubled as my social media. And it's going to be easier if I tell a story. So I'm just going to actually go back to the newsletter because it'll be easy to do. Okay, so now if you're looking to what to put on social media, your biggest thing with social media is, again, you don't want to just be real estate related and you want to create engagement. And when you do that, that helps the algorithm. And then when people are liking and commenting on you, then it shows them more of you. But what also happens is this can create conversations as well. So it can start becoming your lead generation when somebody responds. And I'm going to tie that together in a bow so you can see how that worked. So for one, don't forget to date your kids. Now with social media platforms, I'm kind of curious, which platforms are you guys using? I use Instagram and Facebook. Does anybody use TikTok? No. Okay. All right. So the thing with your platforms, this is where it is a little bit more work. So I don't want this to sound overwhelming. You can always just choose one platform to start with, is you have to know what the platform wants. And what I mean by that, Facebook really wants you to be personable, relatable. They don't really want you to write, they don't want you to post a Canva picture. People are curious and nosy about what's going on in your life. They want to answer your questions. They want to say that I've been there. They want to give their opinion. That's what Facebook does. Instagram is more where you can tell your story. You can do your credibility. You can, show those pretty, Canva templates and things like that. So you do want to cater to which platform you're trying to use. I juggle them both. So for me, since I've been juggling them both for a while, I knew what to do. But this is the perfect example for don't forget to date your kids. I popped into, use LinkedIn as well. I'll have to think about that, how you can use that in your newsletter. I don't use LinkedIn, so I'd be curious after this if you feel like you can use any of that information over in your LinkedIn. Is I jumped in my story and I just talked to the camera and I told them, I was like, oh my gosh, I forgot how awesome it was to date your kid. We went to the Yard House. It was so much fun. Whatever the story was, linked Yard House, because again, people either see it or they skip past it. On Instagram, I made it into a carousel, and keep in mind, anything here, I copied and pasted this whole thing. I went into Chat GPT and I said, please make this into an Instagram carousel. Please, just do key information, keep it very simple. And it gave me my 5 slides that I should do, and I just tweaked it a little bit. And so that was the same story was there. And then over in Facebook, I told the story about it and just was like, hey, don't forget to do this. Like, when's the last time you made time? And just, created it as like a simple little story. Also tried to use less verbiage. So that's how I took that story and then posted it out. I decided to kind of like vary when I posted it, but it doesn't matter. If you pay attention to other people's marketing, you will see that you don't care, because you don't know when that person is going to get that information or when they want it. So a perfect example of this other great marketer that I watch is I might have seen her story and I see her talking about her next thing that she's hosting. She's a health coach. I see it and I happen to listen to it because I want to know what's going on. And all of a sudden I check my email and I see that she's talking about that same class. I don't care. I just already got the information, so I don't read it. And then if it came up in my post, I was either like, oh yeah, that's what she was talking about. And it might create more curiosity, or I might bypass it. So it does not matter if you put this content out on the same day. It's totally fine, because that's how marketing works. The more they see it, then the more they get what they're looking for. So you're not being redundant. Repeat the information, make it easier for you. So that's how I shared that. Same thing with mark your calendars. So for Facebook, this was fun. I created it about me and I said, oh my gosh, I don't want to have FOMO. What are you going to this month that I shouldn't miss? Here's on my bucket list for September. And I shared the things and I got like good engagement out of it. People wanted, I'm going to Mama Prom. Yeah. Yep, I am. And people wanted to know what that was. Like I added something. They're like, what is it? But again, like when people asked, what did I do? I went into their DMs and then I talked to them and we connected, and maybe real estate got brought up or maybe it didn't. But like I'm connecting with people. It's all about talking to people. So it almost does the lead generation for you. It almost brings a person to you instead of being like, who should I contact today? Which is very important. But also I was like, oh my gosh, I haven't talked to this person in a while. Let's go into the DMs and chat. So it was really great. People posted what they were going to go to. People said the same thing. And so again, it was just credibility. It was local events. I know people were like, oh, I didn't know this was going on. I got farmer market update on where I should go. Honestly, it was helpful for me too. I was like, oh, I didn't know about that. That's really great. For Instagram, I just copied and pasted it into a little cheat sheet so they could screenshot it as a carousel, shared it to my story. Boom. Like, isn't this great of how easy this is for your content? And people want it. On my list to try, this is fun too. This one, I created a poll in my story. Have you been to Benstown? Because I wanted to know yes, no on my list. Everybody, I'm very purposeful if you're seen, but anybody that commented or like did the poll, I chatted. Did you like it? What did you get? Ooh, when do you think that you'll go? I plan to go this month. Like I just created conversations around them. And then I did it as a carousel. This is on my list to try, swipe, because when you do a good hook, a hook is like getting people curious for them to swipe more. They want to know. They want to know what Laura Malec is trying. I guarantee. They want to know what Tanya is trying. Like if you do that, what's working for me this month? They're like, oh, what's working for you? They want to know. And then same thing on Facebook. I just made it curious and was like, I haven't been to town, like who's been? And people have commented whether they liked it, they didn't like it, but it's created engagement and conversation. And then the statistic. Now the statistic is important to post. It's going to get your least amount of engagement. And that's okay. People don't know what to do with it. It's not exciting. They really don't have any questions, but you're there just to remind them of real estate. So definitely get in your stories and talk about it, because that's the easiest storytelling. I did a post like, haven't posted it yet, but it has like here's what's happening in the market, or did you know this was happening in the market? Some kind of hook. And then swipe, and then it just had this one little fun fact about it. And then I played around with it on Facebook. Facebook is the hardest for your real estate content. People are seeing it. They are not going to like it and they are not going to comment on it. Please continue to post it because they are seeing it and that's all that matters. I played around with it. And the one thing that I would adjust is maybe since I talked about inventory, I wish maybe I would have put like, here's just what hit the market and like had a link for them to go see, kind of like getting them like, oh, what is on the market? But I just kind of shared like the little fun fact. And then I did a house picture. I went to Unsplash to get it because people like to look at houses. And I think I would maybe play around with that and do like what's local, like what house just sold and maybe show a couple photos because people like to see inside of cool houses. But again, like just posting is better than nothing. So I've been sprinkling this out the whole month. Hopefully tonight I'm going on a date night to Benstown where we're going for the purpose of taking some pictures. People want to know what I'm doing and then they want to go. Like, we just want to be entertained. And so you don't have to be this content creator if you follow this template. This is all that people want. I used to be like, oh, I have to go to this like latest restaurant and take the video and make an awesome reel. And I don't want to do that. So if you don't want to do that, don't, but like, what can you do? So even if you choose not to go to Benstown, 100%, that's okay. I just told everybody that's what I wanted to try. It doesn't matter if I go or not. I'm choosing to do it just because I want some more content. So that's how one big chunk of information is really great and then can be sprinkled into your social media and make you interesting because you are interesting. You just don't know what to have your content about. So you would love, oh, sample of carousel. Okay, did someone post it? You can also go to, thanks, you can go, I'm not a social media guru or guru, however you say it. I do not have 1 million followers, but I understand how the platforms work. And I keep up to date on that. Consistency is really the big key of it. But you can follow me. It's Laura Malec, and you can see what I'm doing on Instagram stories and then Facebook. And you can play around with that. And if you have any tips, like be like, hey, you should do this, like, great, I'll take it. But you can kind of see the posts that I did from there. All right, so who's ready to write their newsletter? Does this sound easy? Does this sound doable? Yes. Okay. So I guess Tanya will try to go kind of into the workshop / mastermind. Does that sound good?
Yes, yes.
Okay. So what I'd like to do is kind of talk about the personal story. And it's obviously a little bit easier with those that have your like face on. Do you guys feel like you already have a story that you can talk about? Or do you feel like you wouldn't know what you would talk about? And if you haven't, either come off the mic and share the story or put it in chat if you know what you could talk about. I'd love to hear from somebody if you have one.
I'll do a quick one. You mentioned how much you saved a client some money. I saved my recent client $21,000. So I would love to start with real estate and cover that because who doesn't want to save money, right? Reach out to me.
100%.
I'll save you some money. So
Yes.
thank you for that. That's what I would like to start with. Thank you.
Yes. And think about, I'm going to piggyback off that for everyone else. Think about, it doesn't have to be your just recent client. I am sure you have a story where you saved clients the money. Tell that story because it was your skill and your negotiations that helped them. So tell that story, even if you feel like it's old. Does anybody else have a story?
Yes, my story is, it's going to say stress less, more success. That is our grow motto. My story is going to be a picture of heart surgery, not too crazy. It's not going to be the crazy one. And I'm actually going to talk about just focusing on the important things in life because and then just really talk about how I was so focused on my house and cleaning my house and trying to have everything look perfect when you know, I could, you know, life is short sort of thing. I don't know how I'm going to do it, but it's also going to tie into my brand Life Reset.
I love that. Well, and it sounds like I would start writing too. This is for anybody, like when you have a story, start writing, you know, even like putting on a timer and giving yourself 10 minutes or 30 minutes, like just start writing that story and then see how much you want to share. And if it's a lot of content, then I'm going to say, okay, you probably have 4 stories in there that you can share. Cause like, it can literally be, you know, just like how the house can wait. and the mess. And that's all that you talk about in that life lesson. So keep in mind too, that something, if it has too much information, congratulations, you now have more content for the rest of the year. So then break it down and get really specific on like how it impacted you with that mission. Anyone else have a story? And hopefully you're writing this down so you know what to write about. This is for your October newsletter. Anyone else?
Brittany, let's hear from you, Brittany. Or is she not on anymore?
Sometimes they're close by and forget to move.
I got a story. Actually, I got two stories. So I had a client of mine reach out to me about a half a year ago. I sold him or helped him purchase a house that was pretty much impossible because there were no houses and he needed or wanted to buy it with a VA loan. Got him the home like under market, and he called me out of the blue like a year later, and he's like, dude, seriously, I was talking with my wife the other day, and we are so happy that you got that for us because we already built $300,000 worth of equity in 1 year. And like, that was an impossible thing. And dude, you set us up for life. And I'm like, you know what? That's what I do this for. And it made me so happy. And you know what? That's like really, I bring it up all the time because it makes the hair in my neck stick up, and it really is that emotion, it really is that feeling, it really is the reason why I do what I do.
I love it.
So
Your subject line is how I set my clients up for success for life. Your story is my clients from a year ago recently reached out and they shared this, and yeah, I love that.
Yep.
All right, so bullet points for your personal stories is just that, successes, and they do not necessarily need to be recent. Dig deep if you don't have anything recent. I found that like if my business is on the slower end, it's really hard for me to find stories. So if that happens and that season happens, just find something, because just because your pipeline is a little bit slower does not take the fact away that you're an amazing real estate agent and that you have, value and credibility to share. I wrote some bullets, but so your successes, if you're doing any challenges or growth and that feels good to you, like remember the story, kind of like it needs to be you, like what you like to talk about. But people really like to hear that stuff. If you had any kind of learning experience, community involvement, personal life, motivational, and I literally went to ChatGPT and I said, like what I want to share a story, like be really specific and what can you do? And so and I can email this out. So you don't have to go to ChatGPT, but like it just asks you questions to help find a story within you. So, and if you're struggling on how to write the story, I love masterminding and I love to help. So I'm not just saying this, please reach out. If you want me to read your first story and give you some really good feedback to make it 10 times better, please reach out to me, email me. I love this kind of stuff. Especially if you're not naturally creative. I guarantee I'll give you some really great tips. So yes. Okay. So personal story.
About the personal story. Would you recommend, you put in there our Grow Facebook page, maybe going back and forth and saying, what do you think about this? Or would that not be a place for that?
For me, so that it just depends on your database. So there could be a story there, like you can say, like I love collaborating with national agents and a part of like, a Grow community that I'm interacting with agents now.
No, that wasn't my question. My question is we have our Grow Facebook page. And if we put in there like, hey, let's collaborate on your first story, would that be a place where we could engage with you and get feedback there? Would you?
Oh yeah. Yes. Sorry. Thank you for clarifying your question. I was like, I don't know if I want to tell my database that. Yes. Yes. The community page. That'd be a great spot to reach out to me and get other people's opinions too, because I don't have the best opinion. There's lots of opinions out there. So I love that.
Okay,
all right. So personal story. And again, if you just start there and that's all that you can do, send that out. That is your October newsletter. So hopefully you all have a story. All right. So finding information locally. So this was really great because you can start again being resourceful is start looking for like local social media accounts. Like I know there's this like page where she shows everything for kids, and I know I can rip off and duplicate like information for her. So make sure you're like looking for those accounts so that you don't have to do the thinking. You can like subscribe to any local news that they have, networking with local businesses. Again, I did chat GPT. It was not 100% correct, but it really gave me the things that was going on. And just think about, what are your plans for this month? Like, don't overthink it. You don't have to share. You can share one thing. Questions on local content on how to get. Do you guys all feel like you have a resource where you can get to it? Okay. And again, share one or maybe 4, but I wouldn't share more than that.
And then next week, our workshop's going to be on local content.
Yes. Do you want to share about that a little bit?
Yes. So for all of you that just hopped on, we're going to try a new format, and it's going to be just like this. It's going to be a workshop. And so next week I'm going to teach you how to get local content. I'm going to have you have your chat GPT open. And when you walk away, you're going to have some things. And I just created a ton of local content that is getting a lot of great feedback.
I love it. So come next week. It's piggybacking off of each other. Oh, a little side note, if you want like going on the whole, like engaging and people getting going, if you don't go to like the internet to find like what's local, is a lot of times I will reverse it and I'll ask on Facebook. I'll be like, what local, like instead of doing what I did, you can say, what local events are you not missing out on? And then you could pick those from there. Because again, Facebook loves to give opinions. So even if you know, you can ask, because then again, you're getting people to comment. And then those are the people that you want to reconnect with, because they could be making a move. They could know somebody. It's your job to stay top of mind and build that relationship. So I like to do that as well as ask. Okay. And then, so market stats, everyone said they knew what they could get to. I do, recommend looking at year over year, because if you're just looking at like the monthly stats, that's seasonality. So it's really nice to know what's going on year over year. And in reality, you could have 4 market updates, one like per week, if you kind of break those down. But again, like make a story about it, or make it so that they like, need to talk to you more or have more questions about it. And just know that, it could get, not as many comments. Sometimes I do something like personal, like maybe I'll like be walking, and then share, because like I'm going to catch their attention by it being me personally. And then I'll be like, did you know, like inventory's down. But it works when you simplify the message, because I even went to a listing appointment this week. She's like, oh yeah, I saw that you said the inventory was increased. And I'm like, yeah, one person saw my information, but people see. So like they may not tell you, but they see it, because I was like, oh, okay, good. I'm glad you know that. Questions on the market. Stats seems pretty easy. Okay, so we have more time. So everyone's going to be able to write an October newsletter, right? We were hoping to maybe like actually get it written out, but apparently I talked too much and I took too much time. So I'm sorry. I'll have to figure out how to get quicker. Maybe next time we'll like, have you watched the class? Come to the workshop, and then we'll all, heads down and start writing it. Okay. And then the last one was the kind of the same thing, local happenings, was the local gem. Take it or leave it. But again, really make this one about you. Like how I mentioned, I'm interested in pickleball. So I might want to talk about that. Like, just make it about you. You're not making it about your audience. You're just sharing something about you, because that's what they like. They're curious. And so again, if it's a restaurant, maybe you're training to do a race, maybe you're trying something new, like don't overthink about it. This is what's nice, is that this helps you also live life on purpose and like live a big life. Because how often do we say we want to do something and then don't get to it? Like me, I've been wanting to go to Benstown. I guarantee I made it purposely there. Like I was even like, how do we get there today? Because it was just, part of the newsletter and part of what I wanted to do. I'm curious, does anybody have something top of their mind, or something that they're doing that they feel like they could talk about? Share what you're going to talk about.
Well, I just signed up for a half a marathon because Maryton and Eddington did a great post on her Facebook page. I think it was Facebook. And I was like, you know what? She started off with a poll. I don't know if you guys have seen that poll, but it was just brilliant. She's like, yeah, you know what? I'm going to do a half a marathon in San Diego. Sorry, I would like to have your feedback. 1, you're crazy. 2, that's awesome. 3, it's crazy and I'm joining. I'm like, 3 all the way. And she's like, for reals? I'm like, yeah. So I just signed up for a half a marathon.
That's amazing. So I
So
love that. And that can be, that's like, you know, two different things or all in one. Your story could be about how you're about to train for the marathon and you're excited. And then your hidden gem can even be like if you find a new shoe store or like
yep.
something like related, or you can even just ask that question, like, where do I need to go for the best running shoes? You have a lot of content right there. I would take everybody on that story with you. I think
Oh
that's
yeah.
awesome.
I
I
can
love
make a
that.
poll as well and be like, hey, do you think that really was a good idea? Is that gonna be sounding like a good idea? But like there's
Yes.
so much interaction you can do with that. And thank you for bringing it up. That really like gets my juices flowing, my creative juices.
Yes, and that's what's exciting about the newsletter. Like you have to make it about you, but when you make it about you and just tweak it, it's going to resonate with everybody else. Like when you do the storytelling and the why and you ask for their help, they're so curious. But like if you're going to write a newsletter about, you know, something that you're not interested in, they're going to sense that. Or if you just chat GPT it, they're going to sense it. So
Yeah.
you want it to be personal.
Can I jump in there real quick? So
Yeah.
like I said, I had a little bit of an issue coming up with first 20 minutes. So you probably likely already like hammered this down. But the two things that people or that you got to work on is one, people have to like you to want to work with you, and people have to trust you. So I think what you're working on with your newsletter is people really will start to like you and understand you and connect with you and be like, hey, you know, this Laura girl, heck yeah, I would love to work with her. So that's awesome. So what I did on the other side, and that's when I said like, hey, I do that LinkedIn newsletter. I
Mhm.
see that I have 2 or 3 people in my LinkedIn community that are sending out the same content from Keeping Current Matters out as soon as it comes out. So it's almost daily, and it really helps me uh, like communicate to my network like, hey, I know what I'm doing. This is all current information. This is great for you, education and whatever. So I'm really um, working that angle of the trustworthiness, the expertise, and everything. So I'm going to use your thing to build on that trust and liking part. So thank you for doing that. And this is kind of how it comes together for me. So awesome.
Yeah. There, you reminded me of something that if you're wanting to do it a little bit more real estatey, you can find articles and then you can share kind of like what you got from it, but then link the article, like all details here. And that's another way too. You can even do it as your market stat, or if you had a story around it, because it is important to have those go too. So you can even rely on more information and then again, just write a little bit of your opinion and then be like, see all the details here. So you're not taking credit for that information and crediting it accordingly. So that's great. Okay. Well, so now the biggest thing is, so really, we want to do, like, hopefully you walked away with your outline. I know the ones that are face on, like, I feel like you have your stuff. So you really just need to like, I would honestly say like an hour is all that you need and start writing it out, start doing chat GPT, tweak it. And if you start now, I will be happy to look at it before October and it can be sent out. Any other questions or thoughts or concerns? The biggest thing is just getting it on our calendar and getting it done.
I have one more question. How do you actually uh like where like what tool do you use to actually create this? Do you have a template in Canva or like
You could, yeah. So, like the first places I would say is go to your CRM and see what templates they have or what it has. The biggest thing is like adding visuals and pictures. You could see you want to add white space so that's easily digestible, so people can kind of go to the information they want. And then changing font color and font size. But specifically, I like the platform Flowdesk for the reason that there are some templates that I could just save. And so now that newsletter is done for me, and I literally like replace the photo. And I personally like that platform better. But I always just say start with what you have and get started. I don't know if Canva has an email template or how that would work with your CRM. Typically the CRM wants you to have the template inside.
Canva does. And for those of you that are with EXP, we have KV Core. And if you go into KV Core and you go to marketing and you go to email templates, there's a ton of templates that you can choose. So you don't have to go to Flowdesk. I'm going to check Flowdesk out, but I was just in mine and I just went to email templates and found one I liked. And it's really easy to
It's
create.
just following the guidelines of it. And even I think Laura Cooper mentioned before too, we were playing in KV Core. KV Core updated their newsletters where you can really make them very nice. So again, just adding those 3 things: pictures, white space, and different size font of what you want them to read. That's what makes a beautiful newsletter. All right. Was this helpful? Everyone feels good? They're motivated to write their newsletter. They're going to write it. Yes.
Yes,
That's
yes.
a great idea. That's a great even approach to do this. First of all, it helps to put your thoughts together. So what do you find new? Something new that you find, some impressions. It's some sort of diary for yourself. So which is very therapeutic in all ways. You know, always if you don't have nothing to do, have no appointments today, okay, I will sit and make some notes about this, and I'll, you know, do something like newsletter for together, get out and check something fun and just make it like or put it in my business. So I think that's a great tool. That always the main thing is to make it done. I think that's a main issue with all process. Just make it done. And yeah, but if you're doing during the months, I think that you'll be ready, so it shouldn't be done in one day. That's the point. So that's a great thing, and I'm grateful that you put it in, because we are planning to do this probably year, but still, like, you know, trying to find a good time to start. And good time to start is probably, you're right, October will be great time to start.
100%. And again, just starting, even if it's just saying I'm going to do it quarterly or every other month, like I started every other month, and then now I'm at every month just recently because of this template. That was the other thing for me too, like being a small business owner. We make decisions all the time, and then being a mom and a wife, like I have major decision fatigue, and I was like, I need a little bit more of like, what do I do? And I was like, these buckets just help me share a personal story, share some things going on, share a personal gem, and share the market. Like I could check those boxes. Those that know me well, I like to check my boxes. And just takes a little thinking out of it versus looking at this blank piece of paper and being like, what should I, you know, write about and have content? So yay. So glad you guys are on.
I think the biggest thing that I feel like a lot of us are thinking as well is the personal side of it. Because it's like you want to be professional, but I love how you personalize it so much, because I always read your newsletters, and you're one of the few newsletters I actually read.
Oh, thank you.
You know, and again, it will, you know, attract the organic like sphere and implants. It's not that somebody will not expect to find somebody else if they already read your newspaper or following in your social media. They do know who you are, at least, you know, so they feel like, and that's a lot, and people not see it just you know, another whatever realtor, one or like one or many, you know. That's what make you different between all the best realtors.
100%. This also helps with if you're doing database ads and you don't quite know, they don't quite know you yet, whether they open it or not, like getting there, it's in front of them, and then they get to know you and work on that trust, which I know, is it Martin? Is it Martin? There's, okay. I just want to make sure I pronounced it right. Said that. So
I go by Hey You as well. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Perfect.
Very good.
So I will get some tidbits. I have a few things that I can share over in the Facebook group. Yes, the linked Facebook group is up top just a little bit. I think we
I'll
can
link
probably
it again.
post it.
Okay,
And
got it. Thank you.
it's like we have all these groups everywhere, and we're like, let's bring them together. So share, invite if you know somebody in your, you know, that you know of, wherever they're a part of. This is just an area to action takers who want less stress, more success, who want to share. We're really all about sharing. And we just want to be a little bit different from the other groups of not just like the boring questions, but the real, hey, this is what's working on in my business. So join, invite others, and come next week so you can expand this, make everything much easier. Is like, how can you take this content that you have into some amazing, well, Tanya, you can finish it. It's like content for, where are you passing out this content?
This content is actually it's for a lot of things. It's for social media. It's also content that I'll create a video on. to go hyper local. So make sure you guys have your chat GPT up and we'll do the same thing. And if you guys can all go join this Facebook group and you guys will be the first to interact in there. So let's interact and say, hey, I got my newsletter done, or hey, here's a story, or hey, what do you think about that? We would love that.
Oh, that's a great idea.
Hey, quick question. I see that's I just went in there and I see that's a public group. Are you going to close that or are you going to keep it a public group?
We will close it, but right now for people to find it and come in.
Perfect.
But it'll be open for a little while. So are you worried about sharing something that you don't want everybody to see?
No, I just see a lot of other realtor or real estate related groups, and they just get like convoluted really quick if you leave it open with all kind of spam and
Yes.
bullshit. So
No, nope, that's good. We just has it open to get it started, and then we have good rules. We won't allow any of that. We're not even allowing intros. We're straight to content. People come in and give us good value. So
Okay.
no, just getting started, and we'll close it. So
Okay,
good to know
yeah.
that we're on the right track. Thank you.
Awesome. Yeah, because I can see how that's also going to take a lot of time from an admin perspective, and that takes away time for business for you guys. So
No.
cool.
Okay.
I joined. Thank you.
Well, thanks for showing up. If you have any problems on your newsletter, please reach out. I'll be happy to help you get over that. And we're hoping to create more workshops as well. And if you guys want to workshop on anything, we're always open for ideas. Or if you have something that you want to share, we're always looking for who wants to share value in speakers. So, all right. I think that's a wrap. Have a great day.
Thank you, Laura. Thank you, guys.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Laura. Thank you,
We'll get
everybody.
the
Thank you,
right
Tanya.
thing this time. Thank you. Okay,
Can I
bye.
say Laura looks amazing? I love the outfit, the chains, the whole, it's
Oh.
beautiful. Thank you.
She always
Thanks.
does.
She always does. Tanya, you guys always look beautiful. I don't see Laura on camera, but her photo is beautiful too. Thank you.
You guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.